Hey everyone, this is Christina D, aka Short on the Easel, with a video I've been meaning to make for a while now, and was kind of stalling on, and that is using makeup as art supplies, which may be a little confusing with how this is starting because it's starting with digital art, but that's because I don't have anything to really sketch with as far as makeup goes, and I wanted to try and keep it to what I own and what I use, instead of just going out and buying makeup for this, because I think it's pointless just to go out and buy makeup that I'm never going to use again. So I decided to do the sketch digitally and then print it out on sketchbook paper. And I tested out a couple of different papers to print on, and I found one that worked very well with the eyeshadows and the other materials, so I decided to just go from there and just roll with it. And unlike most videos like this, I decided not to just draw a person. I did some Critical Role fan art because I was in the mood to do some fan art for it, and I thought this would be fun. Because then I could play with my rainbow palette that I have that I love so much. And actually, no, because I didn't include the B-roll for my makeup, because I was gonna do like a whole parody intro, but decided against it for time. I'm gonna cover the makeup that I do end up using, and that is the first Supernatural palette from Hot Topic. So you'll see that's the longer eyeshadow palette that I dip into occasionally. The Take Me to Brazil is the first palette from BH Cosmetics, not the second one, not the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. It's the first one. I use a couple of brushes that I actually don't use from a set of brushes that I bought. I use maybe like 2 or 3 brushes that I actually used, and I had to wash them like crazy because there was a lot of green and blue in them. And I used a liquid lipstick from ColourPop in the shade Dr. M, because when I was going through makeup before this, I was like, I need to use this somehow. And I bring that in kind of near the end of the video, but I think it adds a little pop of color, and I like that. And I used my liquid liner. My liquid liner? I don't know where that accent came from. I'm not even from the South. What? Why am I? What is this? What is this accent? But, you know, I used my liquid liner, which is a brush liner by, I think, it's either NYX or Wet n Wild. I don't have it on me at the moment, but it's one of them. I think it's NYX. I want to say NYX, because I know both NYX and Wet n Wild have a brush liner, but I think the Wet n Wild one, I had an issue with the tops popping off, and it annoyed the crap out of me. But I love this eyeliner. It works amazingly. It is literally like the eyeliner equivalent of the Pentel brush pen. It's beautiful. So hopefully that covers the basics on what makeup materials I'm using. And I really, really am happy with how this turned out. I'm surprised with how well this turned out. It's like my only beef with this is the pigment. Or okay, maybe not the pigmentation, because on the eyes, the shadows look fine. They look bright and vibrant, but on paper, even though they work like pastels, they are not as vibrant as pastels. Oddly enough, and here you see me. I decided to show you guys what I was doing. So, this is me tracing a piece of printer paper on sketchbook. On sketchbook paper or on sketchpad? On the sketchpad paper. Because I can totally speak today. So I just traced the paper for the size, cut it out, and printed out the sketch. Although I did change the color of the line art and the opacity. That way it was a lot easier to work with as far as printing things out. And surprisingly, printing a 4x6 on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper actually turned out very well. And it actually looked really good on that paper too. So now we get into the fun stuff, where I actually start using the makeup. I kind of stalled when it comes to recording this, when it came to recording this, I spent so long setting up because I was afraid I was gonna mess this up, and I was so nervous. I genuinely was terrified. It's insane how long I waited to actually record this. Like, I triple checked my setup to be like, is this right? Is this what I want to do? It's like, do I want to do narration over it? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And it's just like, I had to force myself to actually record. It was such a daunting task for some reason, but once I started really, really going in with this, it's like, you know, it became like the easiest thing to do. And that brush right there, I think that's supposed to be like a liner brush. I want to say that's supposed to be like a liner brush. I don't use gel liners, so I don't know. I think that's for gel liner, but I don't really use that brush that often, or at all, which is why I decided to use it for this. But it actually ended up being like the MVP brush of this whole entire thing. That got the most pigment onto the paper. It was amazing. It was so much fun, and I'm glad I decided to do Critical Role fan art for this because I love the colors, I love how they pop. I love the fact that I forced myself not to do what everyone else did when it came to this challenge. Because I'm doing this my way. I'm doing my take on the Makeup as Art Supplies challenge. And I'm personally happy with how it came out. There really are no specific rules for it other than use makeup as art supplies. And I did, and that is a majority of the video. And I am genuinely happy with how this turned out, and impressed. And I learned afterwards that I completely messed up Knott's outfit, because if you're a Critical Role fan, and you've seen the official art, you know that Knott does not have a cloak like that. The hood is right. The bandaging on the arms is right. Sorta, I forgot that they go around the fingers too, but the actual cloak itself is completely wrong. So I'm going back into the digital sketch and just doing a full digital version of it. And I fixed that up in the line art, but for this it's just a cloak. But I'm so glad I went with something this colorful because it gave me a chance to play around with the colors, play around with the mixing, play around with everything, and it was so worth it. And maybe I'll do this again in another point, but this was one of the main things that Art Amino voted on. This was something I actually threw into a poll on Art Amino, mostly as a gag. It was kind of like a wild card. I don't know why I wasn't expecting people to pick it, but I wasn't. And the moment I realized that people were mostly voting for this, I was just like, oh crap, what did I get myself into? So yeah, I've spent a good couple months holding off on this, and I'm finally getting to it. But I'm glad I did. It was a fun challenge. It got me out of my comfort zone a lot, especially since the shadows were pretty much like working with chalk pastels. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, it was like working with chalk pastels, but they definitely weren't as pigmented as chalk pastels, which is why I ended up building up a lot of the color. But oh, this part, I love Jester's sleeves. I am so happy with the detailing and how that turned out, because that's just straight up pigment. Actually, that orange-red combo, that is probably the most pigmented thing on there. And I love how it turned out. And here is the saving grace of this whole thing, my eyeliner. Now, before you say it's a waste of eyeliner, this was actually my old eyeliner pen because it was pretty much running out, so I got a new one, and the new one's in my makeup bag, so I decided to use the old one for the video. So, no worries there. Think that's next? Yeah, that's next. just looking at the video now, she's like, yeah, that's NYX, I think. Yeah? Yeah. And before you ask me what kind of brushes those are, well, 2 of those are Tokidoki brushes that were given to me as a gift. The swirly ones are, I think those were unicorn brushes from Hot Topic. They're really fun. I love those. I was torn between those and the dragon ones, because I love dragons. I'm a dork, and I needed new makeup brushes because I'm cheap. And makeup brushes are expensive. Like, I would be a really, really shit beauty guru. Like, excuse the French there. But, yeah, no, I would be a really horrible beauty guru. Like, I don't have, like, fancy materials. Like, I'm using cheap, affordable supplies. Like, consider this like a cheap art supply video, in a sense. I think the only thing that wouldn't be cheap were the Tokidoki brushes. Because those are usually, I think those are usually kind of pricey. I don't know. Hang on. I'm gonna look this up as I'm talking because why not? But yeah, I think those brushes are probably the most expensive thing in this video. But this liner, this is probably the cheapest thing aside from that pink makeup brush, because the pink makeup brush was part of a set from Five Below. That was actually my first set of makeup brushes, which means I probably should have gotten rid of that makeup brush a while ago. And I still use it. I mean, I washed it. Granted, I kind of washed it a little. I don't wash it as often as I probably should. I really, really shouldn't. I probably should wash them more often, and probably, yeah, I probably should just get new brushes. But, oh, wait. Here we go, the Tokidoki brushes. Found an Amazon listing. And according to this list, let's see. Yay! Let's see, there is one seller selling it new for almost $100. Pretty sure they weren't that expensive. Okay. Let's see, no? Okay, they're not showing up anymore. I was given those years ago. So, they've probably gotten new brushes since, and yeah, I can't find them. So, those were a gift. Those probably don't count. But for most part, yeah, every makeup piece in this is cheap and or affordable. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I have a really exciting project coming up for back to school that I'm hoping to get done for sometime mid-September, because it's something I'm excited about and something that I thought of that most art YouTubers haven't done yet, and it makes me so excited to do this because it's a fun idea. And it's gonna be my first time, at least for this channel, doing a digital painting like this, or digital paintings like this, because it's gonna be 2 pictures. And I'm excited, and it's gonna be for back to school theme stuff, so yeah. And here's my amazing B-roll of the finished piece of Jester and Not, and I love these two. They're 2 of my favorite Critical Role characters, and I am really happy with how this turned out, and I kind of rambled this whole video, but you know what? I'm happy with how this looks. I mean, look at that. They're adorable. The pigmentation could have been a lot better, but they're not pastels. They're not meant for paper. They're meant for your eyes. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.